This is WWE Hall of Famer Tito Santana, and you are watching True Crime with the Bet Girl, the Playa, Dangerous Davis, and the president on the Monty and Pharaoh YouTube network. Arriba!
Arriba. Well, good evening and welcome to True Crime with the Bad Girl, the Playa, as Tito calls me, right? And Dangerous Dave, I'm Benny Scala, aka the Playa. And with me, as always, is my partner in True Crime. She is a New England Professional Wrestling Hall of Famer. She is Archie's mom. And her poster graces the walls of men around this country. Hey, should I say around the world? She's my very bad co-host and the one and only Boston Bad Girl, Brittany Brown. How are you?
Hello, how are you, everyone?
We're good. And now, back by popular is Dangerous Dave Starr. Dave has a passion for true crime and wants on women. But he also has a soft heart for our four-legged furry friends. He hearted a recent pickup posted on Facebook with Ray, and he had some very nice comments. A heel with a heart. Dave, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on the show. Thank you for Tito Santana's introduction. Just want to take a minute here to say God bless the United States today. We have Donald Trump took office at 12:01 p.m. today. God bless our country. We got a long dong of a show tonight for you. Not to be confused with the adopted long duck dong. Tonight's episode will be good. And as always, I pledge to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me.
Yeah. Well, before we start this show, we're going to do something a little bit different here because, we were just talking about that. I posted a picture of my love, Bray, and Dave he made some very nice comments. So we decided that we're going to put our pups over tonight before we do anything. So let's get this going here, and here we go. So, all right, we're going to go backwards. Hang on one second. All right. So we got Bray. Bray is the love of my life. She will be 3 years old on April 2nd. She is a Jack Russell terrorist, or terrier. I guess most of the time a terrorist. Bray loves treats, and she loves car rides. And when I give her a car ride, both paws are on the wheel. So I might try to get her a little bit pretty quickly. So that's great. Let's go to, and this is.
That is Archibald Paddington. He is the 2025 cover model of Amazing Pets. And that is his Hugh Hefner pose. He seems to do that all the time. That's all he ever does. You can ask Dave, because I've sent him multiple photos of Archie, and they're all pretty much the same. He's got that same pose, just without the smoking jacket. He loves all kinds of treats and loves to chase squirrels.
Got a celebrity in our list. All right. Next, we have Cash. Cash is badass there.
Cashy is a German Shepherd. He's so sweet. He just loves to kiss, loves attention, loves to give you kisses, and just loves attention. And his favorite thing to do is to go for a ride to Dairy Queen. He loves Dairy Queen. He loves to get when you tell him in the apartment, hey, let's go for a ride. You want to go to a Dairy Queen? He goes berserk, absolutely berserk. Very intelligent. And that's a toy. That's his new toy I got him there that I'm playing with him with.
So he loves DQ. Does he ever have any? Like, will you get him a pup cup?
Oh yeah, he loves it. He goes crazy. You kidding me? He loves DQ. He loves he loves it so much. We even got gift cards to take him there for Christmas.
Nice. And Dave's got one more up here. Give me 1 second. And
this is my grandson, Dookie. Dookie is very protective of the family. He's very territorial. He is this dog. I've never seen a dog that just loves to eat. eat anything like Duke. He can sit at the kitchen table. He'll stand at the kitchen table, and you can feed him, and he just, I don't know where he puts it. He loves to eat. The Duker. We call him the Duker.
Is he particular, or will he eat anything?
He's a garbage disposal. That dog will eat anything. His favorite, though, is pizza crust. He loves pizza crust.
Oh,
But like, would he eat Brussels sprouts or something like that?
No, he's more of a meat and potatoes type of dog.
Right.
But he loves, his favorite is pizza crust.
All right. We got some good pups there.
yeah.
All right. Well, when we get started, I really got to thank Dave for suggesting the topic here. Now, many people, myself included, remember John Holmes, a.k.a. Johnny Wad, a.k.a. the Human Tripod, from the early 80s as the king of porn. He's got a few other nicknames that we'll probably mention here, but what very few people remember, myself included, is that he was involved in a very gruesome incident in Laurel Canyon, California, in 1981. This case is called the Wonderland Murders, and it claimed the lives of 4 known drug dealers and criminals. Actually, only 3, because one of the victims was the girlfriend of one of the gang members. Ironically, who wasn't there that day. Now, 2 movies, Boogie Nights and Wonderland, were created to recount the events of that day in 1981. So before we start, I got to know this. What were you guys doing in the summer of 1981?
I had a big, huge graduation keg party.
Nice.
Well, 1981, I was all buffed out with my long black hair. I was already in conversations with Killer Kowalski to go to his school. He had just lost the Salem YMCA. He was transitioning from the Salem Y to the YMCA in Boston, but he hadn't got it yet. I used to call Walter once a week. I had the money to go. I was ready to go. At one point, I even told him, Walter, why don't you just train me in your living room? And he started laughing. He started laughing and said, if I didn't live on the second floor, I probably would do that. But I got neighbors below me, and I was just working out. I was living at home. I was just out of school, and I was wild and crazy, going to the nightclubs, Vincent's, all the nightclubs, and now I'm just a figment of my imagination.
There you go. So I was actually I was a newlywed. I had gotten married October the previous year. I would have just turned 26, and I was a financial analyst for Citibank, living in Patchogue, Long Island. Long time ago. Yeah, and I had black hair, not as long as it was now, because I had to do the suit and tie thing every day. So I've become a little bit of a wild man in my old age. That was hard to believe, almost 44 years ago. Where the heck
I
did
know.
Holy
Good hair
crap.
follicles on your side of the family. Good hair follicles.
Oh yeah, I can't. Yeah,
Yep.
every time I think cutting it off, I'll ask somebody, "Oh no, why would you do that? It's such nice hair." So I'll let it ride for a little bit anyway.
If you do cut it off, they'll buy that hair from you. Hair places. They'll give you top dollar for that.
It's the wig out of it. So, guys, we have a lot of info here. John Holmes literally had the world by the balls in the late 1970s, but he really blew it. And you may notice some a little bit of double entendre and sexual innuendo in what follows, and it's absolutely 100% intentional. So, since this is rather lengthy, as was Holmes, we will take turns building the storyline, and then, along with the usual suspects in the chat, discuss amongst ourselves. The bad girl, would you be so kind as to lead it off?
Absolutely. So I watched this movie last night. I watched Wonderland with Val Kilmer. And I feel like I know a lot more than I did before this started. So I'm happy to tell you about this. I was very interested and captivated with this. So John Holmes was born in Asheville, Ohio on August 8th, 1944. Like so many cases we have covered, he was the product of a broken home. His natural father had split before he was born, and his mother remarried Edgar Harvey Holmes. who she had previously married twice and had 3 children with. Holmes' mother, Mary, was a devout Christian who required her children to attend weekly church services, while Edgar was a drunk who would actually throw up on the children. That's
quite the contrast. You got the mom who goes to church, then you come home
very
and
cool.
the dad roasts cookies on you.
There you go. Mary, thank goodness, divorced Edgar in 1948 and moved her children to Columbus, Ohio. Young Holmes was a childhood pal of professional wrestling legend Frankie Williams. Not. Mary remarried Mary remarried in 1951 and moved the family to Scala, Ohio. Holmes initially got along with his stepfather, but that changed after the Mary and her new husband had a child of their own. Young John and his siblings were left holding the bag.
Literally.
Holmes enlisted in the Army at 16 with Mary's approval. He served in West Germany for 3 years before his discharge in 1963. He moved to California and took on a series of low-paying jobs. He eventually found a job driving an ambulance, which led to his relationship with a nurse named Sharon Gibonini. They were married in 1966. John went to work at a meat packing plant. Kind of ironic that a guy with the name Johnny Wad got a job packing meat. The process of walking from the hot desert air into the walk-in freezer there caused him to suffer a collapsed lung on 3 separate occasions. Wow. His wife Sharon suffered 3 miscarriages during the same time period. I guess number 3 isn't their lucky number. In his early days in California, John took part in a weekly poker game. His unusually large appendage was noted by one of the participants, who encouraged him to take a pic of his dick and send it to porn producers. Lo and behold, John entered the porn industry with a bang and quickly became one of their bigger stars. He also started dating a 15-year-old girl named Dawn Schiller and moved her into the family home.
Brittany, that's your new friend on Facebook, right?
That is my newest friend on Facebook.
Boy, I bet she's got stories to tell.
Ooh, I can only imagine.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Ooh. Holmes starred in a film called California Gigolo. From California to the Rio Grande, he shot his wad all over the land. And no, Benny did not make that up.
I could have, though, but I didn't.
A big wad.
Benny.
It's a big wad.
I haven't seen it, so I can't say. In 1971, his career got a huge push, where he was cast in the role of Johnny Wad, 2 Ds, a private investigator who investigated a lot of privates. John Holmes became the king of porn, and by 1978 was earning $3,000 a day. Imagine that in 78.
That's around 15 grand.
Oh,
in today's dollars, that's a lot of money. Imagine that, 15,000 a day.
I cannot even believe that.
Just for a body part there.
Yeah. The words right out of my mouth. While initially sober, Holmes succumbed to the lifestyle of the porn industry, and did he ever? First indulging in alcohol, then cocaine, eventually freebasing crack. This impacted his ability to work hard. By the 1980s, Holmes, who by all accounts had always been easy to work with, became increasingly difficult, showing up late and leaving the set to get high. In short, he grew soft. Holmes, like a professional wrestler, frequently made false claims to enhance his image. 99. claimed to have graduated from UCLA and also to have had more than 14,000 women in the sack. Hopefully, he wore baggies.
Jesus.
Holmes' main drug supplier was Adele Nasrallah, aka Eddie Nash, a nightclub owner, as well as a convicted money launderer and drug dealer. Holmes started dealing drugs for Nash, but was sacked for stiffing Nash on his payoffs. Apparently, the human tripod was skimming off the top. Holmes' other drug source was the Wonderland Gang, a bunch of career thieves who lived in Laurel Canyon on Wonderland Avenue. The leader of the gang was Ron, and I don't know if I'm saying this right. Lonius, who had narrowly avoided a murder charge due to the key witness being murdered shortly before trial. Lonius was a person of interest in about 25 other murders, but was never tried for any of them. He lived at the Wonderland residence with his wife Susan, as well as fellow gang members William Deverell, his girlfriend Joy Miller, as well as David Lynn and Tracy Court. Lynn's girlfriend, Barbara Richardson, lived there as well, but was not officially a member.
Looks like she ate like a box of Sour Patch Kids. Like, what a mug.
Yeah, looks like her mouth is full of something.
Yeah, it's full of something, yeah.
Holmes' cocaine habit reached a peak of $750,000 per year.
That's
His addiction eventually resulted in less work in porn flicks with lower payoff. Nash continued to supply him with coke based on his star power, but eventually Holmes nut grew to the point that Nash was unable to extend him any more credit. In an effort to raise cash as opposed to his ding-dong, Holmes started pimping out Dawn, his young girlfriend. He also resorted to petty theft, stealing baggage at the airport, and pawning the contents. For a while, he would hang out at Nash's home trying to pick up an occasional fix. Eventually, Nash ejected him for good. Good move. Holmes then gravitated to the Wonderland Gang, pretty much recreating the same scenario from Nash. He sold drugs for them, but continuously came up short, something that really happened during his porn career. The Wonderland Gang were huge suppliers of cocaine and heroin. The Wonderland Gang would even rob fellow drug dealers of their drugs and cash. They would arrive as uniformed and armed officers. In a business where everyone is a heel, these guys were Roddy Piper level heels.
I mean, imagine that. Like, you're a drug dealer and you rob another drug dealer. That's like, you really got to have brass.
I know. Like, who does that?
Nobody with a brain. Because you know they're going to find out who did. You know they're going to come for revenge.
Of course.
Yep.
I like Jason Moning's comment about Barbara Richardson. You can make horseshoes with that woman's jaw.
God forgive me, but you know what she kind of looks like is a young, what is her name? It just slipped my mind. The comic, Amy Schumer.
Oh yeah.
She looks like she could be like a teenage young Amy Schumer.
If you don't have a bottom lip, that could be a problem.
Wow. All right. Well, although Holmes never became a member of the gang, he was allowed to sleep on their couch in return for running errands. As mentioned earlier, he did move product for them, but that quickly ended once he shorted the payoffs. And in an effort to relieve his burgeoning debt, he assisted the Wonderland Gang in robbing Eddie Nash. He drew a map of the property and slept on Nash's house, making sure that he left the sliding glass door open so that the gang could gain access to the Nash's home. So then on the morning of June 29th, 1981, Lanius, Deborah, Lind, and McCourt entered the home of Eddie Nash, and they were dressed as police officers. So, but their disguise was quickly nullified when they started tying up Gregory Giles, who was Nash's bodyguard, instead of cuffing him. You know, the cops don't come and start tying people up. And somehow Giles was actually, I think it was an accident, shot in the leg during the fracas. The heist yielded the Wonderland gang 100,000 cocaine, as well as 100K in cash and jewelry. Nice heist. Now Holmes was supposed to get a little bit of something for his effort. I think he got a little teeny bag of cocaine with his payoff. So I really think maybe he got the shaft.
So to speak.
Yeah, so Eddie Nash quickly surmised that John Holmes assisted the Wonderland gang and wanted him found. And he wasn't too hard to find. And he was escorted back to Nash's residence. Gregory Giles, who was Nash's bodyguard, the one that was shot, beat Holmes until he fessed up that the Wonderland gang was behind the robbery. They forced Holmes to take him to the Wonderland compound, and let me bring my little graphic up here. And they were the conversation was actually overheard. This gentleman's name is Scott Thorson. He was Liberace's companion at the time, and he would frequent Nash's residence, trade stuff that he stole from Liberace, and he traded for some cocaine. And I bet Liberace wished his brother George was there instead. I'm really dating myself with that one, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Nobody knows that one. Holmes provided the entrance code into the Wonderland residence. Nash's enforcement then entered the Wonderland residence, which is right there. The first person to be assaulted was Cabbage Patch Kid's mouth, Barbara Richardson, girlfriend of Amy Schumer Jr., girlfriend of David Lynn. Lynn was now, ironically, Lynn wasn't there. He was away from the residence for court appearance. But next was Joy Miller and Billy Devereaux. They were beaten while in their bedroom. And then Lanius and his wife Susan were beaten when they were in their bedroom. There's all five of them. Yeah, so it was her first, and then Devereaux and Miller, and then Lanius, and that's his wife. So they were the assault actually was said to have taken an hour until Nash's henchmen were confident that everyone was dead. And they're all beaten with threaded pipes and baseball bats. Pretty gruesome. Holmes was there. He ran to his wife's house after it was over. He was covered in blood. He initially told his wife that he was injured in a car wreck, but she called him on his bullshit, of course, because he had no cuts or bruises on him. So he eventually fessed up and he spilled the beans, which was different than he usually would do. So then Holmes left his wife's parents' home, and then he went to Dawn's apartment, who was by then she was 21. And as the bodies lay in the Wonderland complex, now this is really something. Their customers, because they're drug dealers, right? The customers are coming in trying to buy drugs. They see these people dead and bloody, and instead of calling the cops, they help them do whatever they want. So definitely, you live by the sword, you die by the sword, right? The one thing that they did not realize that Nash's crew was that Susan Lanius actually survived the attack. Moving men heard her moaning, and they actually contacted the cops. So the cops arrived probably about 4 o'clock, and they were welcomed with unimaginable carnage. I've seen some of the pictures, and boy, it did not look good. But Holmes, a handprint matching John Holmes, was found on the headboard of the bed where Ron Lanius was laying. And Lynn, who was It's not there, but he said he told the police that John Holmes had set up the robbery at Nash's residence, and police quickly located Holmes at the Fleabag Hotel he was sharing with Don Schiller. Now, Holmes was arrested, and he made a deal to become a state's witness, but he reneged on the deal, and he and Schiller fled town. Well, this is really what a story. Holmes and Don stayed in a hotel in Florida and resorted to petty crime to make ends meet. Eventually, Dawn was forced into prostitution once again to pay for Holmes' re-emerging drug habit. But eventually, she got tired of the abuse and left him, and she actually provided the police with his whereabouts. So Holmes was arrested on December 4th, 1981, and he was extradited to Los Angeles. He was given the choice to be a state's witness or go on trial for murder. He chose the latter. Which, do you guys understand? Why would somebody do that?
Doesn't make any sense.
Right?
Definitely not.
I don't get that one at all. You're going to be cut a deal. You're probably going to get witness protection. You're going to probably not get any jail time. You're really rolling the dice by going on trial for murder. The trial began in early June 1982. He was acquitted of all charges on June 25th. So he looks like he got off, like he usually do, right? But spent several months in jail for contempt of court. I guess he would not say anything about anybody. And so he got 110 days for contempt. But upon his release, Holmes attempted to resume his career in the adult film industry. However, between his known drug use as well as the murder trial, his image was seriously tarnished, and he was no longer the talk of the town. Holmes was relegated to male enhancement status. So he was diagnosed with AIDS in 1986. Once became publicly known, Holmes temporarily relocated to Italy, hoping that his ailment would not be known there, but it became well known. And he died on March 13th, 1958, at the age of 43. He never revealed any information on any of the crimes. In 2001, Eddie Nash was convicted of jury tampering and ordered his associates to raid Wonderland, but only to retrieve the stolen property. He denied ever planning a hit. Just, he wanted his stuff back, and he got a 4.5-year prison sentence. As far as I know, nobody else, any of his accomplices got any prison time. So, guys, what do you think?
Well, first time I saw John Holmes was in the late 1970s, and in the now you got to remember back then we didn't have VHS and all the stuff and technology we have today. And me and my buddies took the train into Boston and something that's called the combat zone, and we had to look up, and John Holmes' name was on there, and we were like, I don't know, probably 17, and said, hey, let's see if we can get into this movie. And we thought they would just not let us in. We were only 17. It was about 3 of us. And they let us into the movie. And that was the first time I ever saw a dirty movie. I couldn't believe I was in there. And, you gotta remember back then that you had nothing else to see anything, and we thought that was, as 17-year-old kids, that was a big deal. And it was John Holmes that I saw on the movie. And I believe he was a good guy in the beginning. I believe he served in the military. He got married. It's just that once you get mixed up with the drugs and the wrong people, and you start booting the heroin, and you start, snorting the cocaine, your brain changes. But I believe he didn't rat on anybody. That's beautiful. That's the type of guy you want. He refused to rat on anybody, and I honestly believe that he was a good guy in the beginning of his life. Got married, was in the military. Just, you got to do what you got to do to make money. And unfortunately, he got mixed up with the wrong people, and he became a bad person.
Well, I mean, he's from Ohio, right? Good old boy from Ohio, like you said, served in the Army. Went to Los Angeles to find his fame and fortune. Got married, and I think he drove an ambulance. That's how he married Sharon. Met Sharon, his wife. Married her. got a good paying job in the meatpacking plant. And unfortunately, I guess he was in the desert air, and he'd go right from the desert air to these ice cold meat lockers. And that, I guess his lungs weren't equipped for it. But, if it wasn't for that poker game, we'd never be talking about this guy, right? He's taking a whiz with his fellow poker playmate, and who happened to see his his male, his donger there, and said, "Hey, man, with a thing like that, you could make a fortune in the porn industry," and the rest was history.
Yeah, I remember somebody named the Pink Assassin, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, he I can't believe that he never got convicted for these murders. I can't believe that he actually got acquitted. I can't believe that he was actually present. I mean, what a rat piece of shit he turned it. I mean, he was a rat piece of shit, but then again, he wasn't, because he set up the murders. He set up the the break-in, but yet he wouldn't rat on anybody. I mean, you gotta like a guy who won't rat on anybody. But I still don't know. Yeah. I still don't know why.
I would have thought, like, with everything that I heard, that he would have at least been, accessory to murder or something like that. Maybe not murder, but accessory. Because he did. Right. I mean, he set it up. He led them. He led them to the Wonderland residence, and actually he knew the key code to let them in.
Right. He was the architect. Just like he was the architect of the whole thing. He set everything up. He was present. That's like Pamela Smart. Another Pamela Smart. He orchestrated the whole deal. He orchestrated the whole robbery, and he did it on his friend who tried to help him, Nash.
Yep.
And he turned on his buddy Nash, and I don't. I believe he was a good guy. I don't know what happened to him. Just the drugs, the girls, the big meat.
I gotta believe. I mean, it's not a very wholesome industry. I mean, so I think once you become a porn star, I mean, the odds that you're going to live that kind of lifestyle, I would think, are pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not going to just knock off at 5 o'clock. Okay, I got to go home to my wife and have dinner. I don't think that happens.
Yeah, and I did mention in the beginning of the show, somebody by the name of Long Duck Dong. I don't know if anybody knows who that is.
No.
The great adopted Long Duck Dong from 16 Candles, the movie. I watched 16 Candles, great movie. Long Duck Dong was in that one. It's not a dirty movie, it's a comedy, 16 Candles.
Wow.
He was hilarious in that. He was hilarious. What's that?
Is that with Molly Ringwald, 16 Candles?
Yes, great movie.
Long time ago.
Yep, Long Duck Dong was in that movie.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you. You know what I think these guys did that saved themselves from not having John Holmes rat on them is they A, made him stay, B, made him watch, and C, handed him a pipe and made him use it. Now, at first, when he used it, he only went like this, very soft taps, and they screamed at him, hollered and cussed at him and said, "God damn it, do it." Well, something in his mind, he like lost it, and he started beating the crap out of one of the guys. And that's how he got blood spatter all over his face, all over his shirt. And then he showed up at his ex-wife's house, or soon-to-be ex-wife's house, with all that blood. And she originally, like we said earlier, she originally thought he was hurt and that he was in an accident. And he asked to take a bath at her house. And he went into the tub, and where she was a nurse, she was checking his head and his chest,
Right.
and she
That's
kept
she was a
saying,
nurse.
but I don't see an injury. I don't see an injury anywhere. And she finally realized, oh my God, John, what did you do? And he confessed in the bathtub to her what happened. He confessed what he did. So not only did he not rat, but she didn't rat either.
Well, she was probably too goddamn scared to rat.
I don't
You
believe
know, probably think, probably figuring, hey, they're going to be coming at my door. They know where I live. I ain't opening my mouth. What's in it for me?
Yep. And he almost made a deal with the feds for himself, Sharon, and Dawn to all go in witness protection. And Sharon said, I'm not doing it. Leave me out of this. Whatever you two decide to do, go for it, but I'm not doing it. And
So
I guess he just decided not to do any of it.
So I got two questions, not to sound ignorant. So did John Holmes have any kids?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, not that I know of either.
And which girls survived the beatings?
It was Ron Lanius was the leader of the gang, the Wonderland gang. It was his wife, Susan.
Susan survived.
Now, he wasn't a good guy either. He was going to be on trial for murder. And the only reason why he got off was because the witness got killed before the trial.
Right.
He was a person of interest, I believe, in 25 other murders. This is not a good guy. We're not. I mean, not that anybody should be killed that way, but this is not a choir boy here.
No. And those poor women, I mean, I feel so bad for them. Talk about poor life choices, and look what happened. And I mean, this girl that lived, she was beaten to a pulp. I actually thought she was going to die in the hospital. She was having like little convulsions. Her eyes were flickering. She was hooked up to all different kinds of tubes. Her eyes were swollen shut. I mean, they beat the crap out of her. It was awful.
Now, didn't she? I heard she testified, but her memory was so blurred because of the damage she had suffered that she really couldn't contribute much of anything. Is that correct?
Remember anything?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure the girls, they're laying in bed with, I don't know if they were married, the boyfriends or the husbands, and they're laying in bed and they're sleeping, and the next thing you know, you're getting the shit beat out of you by pipes. But I'm sure they were into the drugs too. So I guess that's a choice you make. I mean, unfortunate, because I'm sure they didn't know they went and robbed anybody. I'm sure they didn't know any of their business like that. And you're just sleeping in bed, and next few minutes you're dead. But that's the price you pay. You get involved with people like that.
It makes you wonder, though, because the first one to go was that Barbara was Lynn's girlfriend, the one with no lip. But you would think that they couldn't have been very quiet about it. And I don't know how big the place was, but you would think by the time they got to the last couple, they've been in two different bedrooms already. Or I think she was on a couch in the living room, I think, and then then they went into the two bedrooms. You would think that somebody would have heard something.
I know.
Well, I looked at the picture of the house that you put up, and I'm trying to canvas the neighborhood, of the house. Doesn't look like there's a house on either side of that house. I don't know. I don't know if you can put the picture of the house back up, but it looked like kind of a secluded house almost. I think the only reason why they were found, wasn't there like repairman or something in the next?
There's moving men in the house next door.
Moving men in the house next door.
They heard the one who was the survivor. I guess she made it. She was moaning loud enough that they heard her, and then they called the cops because it didn't sound right.
Yeah,
and I think some neighbors did hear things, but because that house, in that particular apartment in that house, had so many loud parties. They just paid zero
I was going to
attention
say,
to
that,
it.
like, with the amount of shenanigans that went on in that house, it's just like another day at the office, right?
Right. But I think where you were leading up to, Benny, was how did none of the other couples hear the other people that were getting
Right.
killed? Right. And I think that was due to drugs. I think they were all so out of it. They were just literally out of it.
Well, and here's my other question though. You know, you're drug dealers, right? You rob other drug dealers, which you know that they're going to come after you, sooner or later. And
Right.
we show pictures of our little cute little dogs. Why didn't they have a Rottweiler there or a German Shepherd?
Pit bull.
Or something like that. Why you don't have a dog like that? Because that would have tipped them. The dog would have barked like crazy. I mean, who knows? Maybe they wouldn't even have kept them in the house.
Yeah, you're probably right. But you know what? Those people were so whacked out on drugs, the men and the women, that whatever dog they got would never have been fed, would have gone to the bathroom all over the house because nobody was in any condition to ever take the dog out.
Right.
Those people were out of it 24/7.
Probably good thing they didn't have pets.
What a job! Who paid the mortgage or the rent? I don't understand. Well, I guess the drug dealing must have paid for that, but none of them worked. They were there 24/7 on those couches, on the floor, in the bed, always doing hardcore drugs.
Well, even when they robbed Nash, I believe it was delayed because they were all so high, and they had to wait till they all could compose themselves.
Thank God they didn't have any. The pets probably would have been doing the drugs that were dropped on the floor. They probably would have been licking the drugs up or licking the drugs off the coffee table.
Yeah, that's sad.
Like the movie Cocaine Bear, or was it Cocaine Bear, that movie?
Oh yeah, the bear did drugs by mistake. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great movie, Cocaine Bear.
So now, Brittany,
Well, look what happened to poor Archie from eating a leaf.
Yeah.
He had the runs, the unimaginable runs all day long, and $1,800 all day at the emergency vets from eating a leaf. So imagine what drugs would have done to somebody's dog.
That would have killed him.
Oh, absolutely. So thank goodness they didn't have a dog.
Hey,
But
maybe
you know
it's because
what?
they didn't. I mean,
You're right, though. I'm amazed they didn't have a huge Rottweiler with a, studded collar, big tough boy at the front
just
door.
saying,
But
given the fact that they're drug dealers and the fact that they didn't just sell drugs, they robbed other drug dealers. You know they had targets on their backs. Like, why would you be prepared for something like that?
I don't think they were with it
If they were that high, I guess they didn't really think about that.
Yeah, I don't think they were. They were that bad. I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of movies. I've never seen a movie with so much hardcore drug use it was like times 100.
Now,
and same with
did you see
the
Wonderland or did you see Boogie Nights?
Wonderland.
Okay.
It was absolutely the gore, the blood, the drug use was just over and over and over again, and lighting stuff and shooting needles, and I was like, oh my God.
I'll have to watch that movie, Wonderland. I've seen Boogie Nights. I've never seen Wonderland.
You got to see it. It's Val Kilmer, and he did an amazing job. And Lisa Kudrow was the ex-wife, John Holmes' ex-wife.
But honestly, I watched 2 or 3 documentaries. I didn't watch the movies, but I saw nothing that said that Holmes did anything. But you're saying that in that movie, he was one of the perpetrators.
Absolutely, and that's why his handprint was on that bed, because he held himself up with one hand on the bed and took the pipe And I mean, he went to town. They made him do it. He didn't want to do it. He acted like a coward, a real coward. He did not want to do it. And he started hitting them like he was, tapping a straw. And they made him do it. And then the blood started everywhere. It was all over the walls. His shirt was drenched.
Was the movie as graphic as I think it would be?
It sure was.
Yeah.
And I remember that when it broke in '81. I remember that story. I remember when it all broke back then. I was living in Bridgewater. Mass back then. I remember when it broke.
Yeah,
The only Wonderland I ever heard of was the dog trap.
No, I mean, I remember John Holmes, because of his, his porn career, but I just don't remember it. I don't remember ever hearing about, the whole murder thing.
Yeah.
But that's pretty heavy duty. I mean, 4 people.
I remember.
The other guy was home. Lynn, I guess he lived there too. He was the one's boyfriend rather. So it would have been 3 couples. I wonder if that would have made any difference if he was there.
I know.
I remember when it broke back then, because you got to remember back then you could only, you didn't have the internet, you didn't have any of that. You either watched the news or you didn't see anything. I remember trying to be in front of my TV when the news came on with these, with the murders and John Holmes, and I was like, I couldn't believe it at the time. The Wonderland Murders. I couldn't believe that John Holmes was involved in all this, because the only thing you really knew back then was if you bought the National Enquirer or a stupid magazine or a book at the supermarket.
Yeah.
It was very, very fascinating.
Yeah,
I mean, really, it was so interesting to me. This was such an interesting story. Very sad, but very, very interesting. And I'm just so shocked that he got off the hook. I really am shocked.
I can't believe he had the nerve not to take a deal, knowing what he did. Knowing what he did, that took a lot of guts to say, F you, I'm not going to take the deal, and just take off. That's incredible.
Now, Brittany, I have a question though, because and we didn't talk about it before, but I believe at some point he and Sharon divorced, correct? And he married somebody else, I think the year before he died.
Oh,
did they get into that at all?
No.
Okay.
No, it just shows that.
Unless I have my facts wrong, if anybody out there in the usual suspect land has that information, my understanding is because he, when did he die? He died in
88.
88. Was it?
Yeah.
86, 88.
Where's my?
Died in 88.
88 at the age of 43. So, I believe he married somebody in 1987.
Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, by then he knew he was dying, because I believe he knew he was dying in 86 when he went to Italy.
Yeah.
Who is this?
That's when he was diagnosed.
Yeah.
86.
Okay, so this says he died March 1988.
Correct. Yes, I'm saying, yeah, he died in 1988. But I believe he had gotten remarried in 1987.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Why that would happen, I mean, he knew that his goose was cooked by then. But
I didn't know.
I mean, you're making $3,000 a day in 1979, which is you're making literally like $1 million a year just for doing porn, and you can't keep your nose clean, literally, right?
I know.
That's too bad.
How sad is that?
Yeah, that's too bad. I mean, I had
a golden goose. In more ways than one, you've got the golden goose, and you blow it all, literally.
Yeah. Well, I had my chance to get into porn. I had offers, but being a Christian man that I am, I turned the offers down and chose professional wrestling and Killer Kowalski.
Right.
You know?
You did the right thing. Definitely did
You
the right
chose
thing.
where the real money is.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I never made it to Hulk Hogan status, so I made below the real money.
Luckily, you never murdered anyone.
Not that I know of. No, I didn't.
But Dave, you're absolutely right. Though, by all accounts, good old boy. Came to California. He didn't come to California for a movie career. He came to California just to get a job, lead a life out there. Gets a job driving ambulances, then he gets a job in a meat place. Really, that whole thing happened by accident. But then like you said, once it happened, then he got it. He started running with the wrong crowd, and then once you get into the drugs like that,
hey, once you don't have to punch a time clock, there's no timetable to get out of bed in the morning. You got cash coming in, you got girls coming in, you got drugs coming in. That's the life he chose. But I do believe the picture of his wife there when he was very young, he was in the service. He went down the wrong path. Chose the wrong path, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Very bad path. And you know what I found interesting is, and this is so weird to me, the wife and the girlfriend were best friends and still are today.
See, I didn't research.
They weren't before, but they became best friends while he was dating her, while he was still married to his wife. So, like, he'd come to the house on drugs looking for money, and she'd say, "Where is Dawn? Where is Dawn?" And she'd push him out of the way, go out and check on Dawn, and say, "Why are you still with him? Why are you still with him? Move on, honey, move on. You want to make something out of your life." And this girl, "Oh, I love him. And she kissed her on the cheek and she said, "I love you, honey." And she said, "I love you too." And to this day, they still see each other and they're friends.
Are you talking about Sharon and Dawn?
I am.
Wow.
They're still alive?
Yep.
Now, Sharon's got to be, God, like pushing 80 though, no?
Yep. But remember, Dawn was only 15 when they first started dating.
I mean, I'm assuming Holmes was born, what, in 43?
40s, yeah.
I mean, so, he'd be 81, 82 now. She was close to, Sharon was close to his age, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Dawn
she's probably in her late 70s.
Dawn's got to be maybe like 60 something, early 60s.
Yeah.
Wow.
She was 15 when he started dating her, right? Dawn. Can you imagine the look on her face when she pulled his pants down for the first time? Holy shit! Look at this one-eyed trouser trout.
I felt so bad for her.
I mean, 15.
I just sat there and I said, what I would have done, I think I would have ran.
Look, I gotta go now. I gotta go home and do my geometry homework. I'll see you.
Yeah, I mean, if I was gay and that happened, I'd been like, I'm out of here. This fucking thing's scary. See ya. This thing should be fucking. You should be paying child support to this fucking thing. Jesus.
It's just all genetics, right? You happen to have that gift. Not even a good-looking guy. Not a smart guy. I mean, he was.
Some guys get hair follicles genes. Some guys get penis genes. Other guys don't.
Right. We all got our gifts.
You never know. You never know what people got unless you're at the poker game.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And you have to go to the bathroom. Yeah.
I'm amazed how life, just like life can turn on just something so insignificant, like just taking a whiz at a poker game. changed, like,
No.
I mean, how many people's lives? You know, none of that would have happened if he, you know, those 4 people wouldn't have got killed if it wasn't Holmes taking a whiz at a poker game.
Exactly. All those
Yeah.
lives, those people wouldn't have been killed. You know, maybe that other guy would have gone to jail for one of the 25 murders that he, you know, but I mean, as far as everybody else goes, on that day, none of those people would have died.
And the end result is, for those murders, the end result was one person got 4.5 years. And that was it.
Right. That amazes me.
That's it.
That, like, and it's so obvious, like, who did it.
Yeah.
And seriously, guys, a handprint on the bed. Hello.
Right.
And I mean, it took 20 years for Nash to get a jail sentence. But I think he got convicted in 2001.
Yeah.
20 years after the murder.
LAPD. Yeah. I can't believe it. Just 4 years, or whatever. He got 4.5. Whether he did 4.5, I don't know. He got out on good behavior, but for 4 murders. So I feel bad for the 2 girls. I really do. Because I'm sure they didn't know anything what was going on, what these people do. Their boyfriends or husbands left the house, but then Reaper comes a calling.
Yeah, and didn't she, Brittany, didn't Dawn write a book? She wrote a book, right? About the whole ordeal?
Yeah. Yep.
She did? Okay. I didn't know that.
Maybe we can get her to come on the show.
I know.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. Well,
I don't think, I mean, I've never heard. I wouldn't know her from a hole in the wall. I mean, I didn't even know the name until I started researching for the show. But I mean,
Right.
Does she make appearances?
That I don't know.
well, you're gonna have to get on that, Brittany. You're gonna have to get on that. That'd be good to get her on.
You know, Charles Manson's former pen pal. Jeez, I mean, that's got to give you some cred, right? Like,
Right? I mean, geez, come on now.
You know, just make something up. Say, hey, I ran and got coffee for Charles Manson one time. That's my claim to fame, you know.
right.
I think I'd get a big click.
My parents almost threw me out of the house because of my long distance bill with Charles Manson.
I wrote
That's almost true, right?
Late to my mother.
Yep, she wrote pig on the door too. Yep, that's what.
I mean,
I don't think being
only
a fan of
imagine the
Manson
story.
is going to get me anywhere with Dawn.
Well, you never know. You never know unless you try. That'd be interesting though to get her on the show. I like to read her book. What's the name of her book?
You know, I'm going to look that up after. I think I'm going to order it if it's on Amazon because I think it would be very interesting.
It would.
Yeah, I would agree. But she's kind of like, she's turned the page, right? She's, you know, normal person now.
Yeah, it looks that way.
Wow. Yeah, and that's the other thing, though. 15 years old. I mean, like, he didn't get arrested for pedophilia. Like, you know, how did he beat that one?
He was untouchable. He seemed to me, because of who he was untouchable.
Wow.
I think the question should be reversed. How did she beat that one? You know?
With both hands, probably, right?
Jesus. I would have said a prayer for us, our Father in heaven. But yeah, that'd be great to read her book. And you got to remember one thing. Back then, when all this happened, when stuff like this happened, the only thing we know about these people is whatever was on the news. We had nothing to research it back then.
Right.
You know, we didn't have any computers or anything.
Yeah, no internet, no Wikipedia, no nothing. I mean, we had the newspaper and we had TV, and that was it.
And that was it. And whatever you got off the news and names, that was it. Like, you didn't have any backgrounds on any of the participants or who died or anything like that.
No.
know.
No, I mean, it's amazing how much information we have at our fingertips now. That back then you had none of that.
It's crazy. You know, I don't even remember how. I think I must have found out from the news what prison Charles Manson was in. And then I literally, on a rotary phone, dialed 411 and said, Folsom, California, Folsom State Prison, please.
Jesus. Here's Benny. Here's the player. All he wanted to do was be a pen pal in a wrestling magazine, and you're dialing up the prison. You're dialing up the prison in California.
I just wanted to get letters from girls, and what's so bad about that?
I told you I wanted them for a book report.
Come on, secretly tell everyone. Did you want to date Charles Manson?
He was not tall enough.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I like the big guys. The big guys, not the 5'2".
Not for anything though. I mean, I'm amazed. Like how many? What's her name? Jodi Arias. How many marriage proposals she's gotten? And so did Casey Anthony. I mean, why would you want to marry somebody that killed somebody else?
I know. Well, look at all the people writing to Scott Peterson and Lyle and what's his name? Eric Menendez
right.
or Menendez.
I'll tell you what,
crazy.
If I had a daughter in the house that was calling the prison up to talk to Charles Manson, I would have went to the local hardware store and put a lock on my door at night so I can sleep. See Charlie come.
You can just disconnect the phone and bring it with you, right?
Get up in the morning and see pig written on your bedroom door.
Unreal. All right, guys. I think we literally beat this one. So I'm going to say thank you to the usual suspects in the chat room, as well as the millions
and millions
of true crime fans around the world. We will never run out of cases to talk about. So make sure you subscribe to the Money in the Barrel YouTube channel so you won't miss any notifications. And don't forget to join yours truly and Dan Sebastiano. It's going to be Wednesday this week for Dan and Benny in the Ring. And our very special guest, I'm not sure if you heard of this guy, but he is the sinister minister of fear. He was a heel manager in the Chicago area in the mid-'80s. So he should be a very interesting guest, yeah.
What's his name?
His real name is Robert Hermes, Hermes. He did a lot of work with Bob Luce in Chicago and Dick the Bruiser, actually.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. There's a lot of good stories. So for the bad girl and dangerous babe, this is the Playa. Tell everybody to stay safe and see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Night, folks.